Hello, my name is Matthew from OCam Girl, and how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
And can I ask your model name and what sites you work for?
Sure. I'm known as Anna Cherry, and other than my own website, annacherry.com, I most frequently cam on Streamate, and you can find me under annacherrylive.com or anna_cherry.cammodels.com.
And can I ask your age and where you're from?
Yes. I am older than I look. I'm 28 years old, and I'm originally from Eastern Europe, but I've made Northern California my home for the past 4 years or so.
Do you remember when and how you started working in the industry?
Yes, yes, I do. It was the year was 2009. Let me paint the scene. Now, I was in college, and the conventional jobs that I had, such as Victoria's Secret, Flying Saucer, Beer Emporium, then Blockbuster, they were not working out in the sense of how little time I had away from my neuropsychology schooling and how little money they were making in the amount of time that it was taking me to do those jobs. And I wanted to find an alternative. And one of the things that my partner of 10 years and I were really into is each other. And we're both very sexual people. So we kind of decided to give this camming thing a try. We heard you could make money from your bedroom by having sex, so that really intrigued us, and we looked at our options and started camming.
Is this line of work your main source of income, or do you do any other sort of work?
Well, erotic work in general is definitely my primary source of income in the sense that I do camming. I just launched a website not too long ago, and I do Patreon type stuff, which is mostly erotic photo sets and like website subscriptions and things like that. But occasionally, also my YouTube sort of activism and my YouTube show, Cherry STEM, which is a spin-off of the Honey Badger Radio that I do work with as well on a volunteer basis. So mainly it is occasional modeling, but it's also most of the time nude. So I would say 90% of my income comes from my naked body. So I call myself a professional naked girl.
Would you say that your background as a person or your personality plays into being in this line of work or how it works out for you?
Absolutely. I call myself a succubus, and I have for a long time. And my kind of joke about it is that instead of sucking the life force out of one man to the point of death, I instead use the webcam, and that way I can use the life force of many men, and all of them sort of retain their life force. Um, uh, I say that because I do definitely have a strong desire to be desired and a strong sort of gratification that I get from being desired and from giving people a satisfaction of the sexual kind. I've always been a very, very sexual person, and it I didn't really have experience, so to speak, in my personal life as much as I wanted to, and as much as my libido wanted to. I was, more of a awkward, shy person and intimidating to boys apparently. But since sort of starting camming, it gave me an outlet for all of that pent up sexuality. And I also really identify with being a healer. So that's why I went into neuropsychology. Well, to clarify, I first went into psychology and then realized I cannot truly help people without knowing neuroscience. So it became a bridge major. But I kind of see my work as therapy, as sexual healing, as entertainment, as providing an escape and a fantasy, especially. That's actually one of my taglines: is decadent succubus here to unleash your secret desires. It is something I've always really strongly identified with. There's this question going around back in the day where if you could be any kind of demon, or what kind of demon would you be? And I always had this idea of unleashing people's inhibitions. That always really called out to me, and I feel like I can most fulfill that in my work, and it's extremely gratifying to and validating to be desired and to be the object of people's fantasies, and to have repeat customers who are there for you and for what you can provide to them. I mean, there's so many pretty naked girls out there on the internet, but they choose me because of that little extra something, and all of that very strongly resonates with sort of who I am as a person.
Do you remember much about your first day camming or anything like that?
First day, maybe not, but I do remember my first site, which didn't last very long, and the first day equaled first month. It all kind of melded together in my memory, and it's nothing but fond memories. But I don't know if it's anything noteworthy other than just, I don't know, maybe the thrill of being desired and wanted, and the different role plays that people wanted. And that was just kind of really interesting and exciting. So I don't really remember any specifics that would be particularly interesting, but it was all one long fun dip into the pool of camming.
Everyone has some sort of story of something strange or interesting that's happened. Do you have any particularly memorable ones that stand out?
Well, it's my go-to line, because it's one and only sort of most ridiculous thing I've heard. Many cam girls definitely experience a lot of silly things. I think there's even a Tumblr devoted to the silly things that people say on cam. And then one of my websites, my campsites that I worked on for a long time, the joke was open feed BB, because that's something people would say. How can you open feed? I don't know. But my most memorable line that I received was, well, okay, other than I will crawl through 10 miles of glass to hear you fart through a bathtub, or something like that. One of the really truly memorable ones, because I felt like it was genuine request instead of just some copy pasta joke. It was, will you fart on a chocolate cake? And that's the line that encapsulates the ridiculousness that you can experience on camp.
And would you say that being in this line of work has had its any standout pros and cons for you?
Yeah, I think it has. The cons, I can't really think of any, since it's still my chosen profession, 6, 7 years later. But pros, there's definitely been a lot of. There's a kind of requirement to innovate yourself, to find something new, or to not get stale or used to your audience and expecting them to enjoy you regardless of what you're doing. So there's been kind of a refreshment requirement, and a requirement to continue being thankful and be performing, and not act like you're sort of better than X. That's been a very big one. And not to mention sort of learning how to deal with non-constructive criticism, basically trolling, learning how to understand and deal with people who come at you with very angry and disparaging words. Some of them are just trolls trying to get a rise out of you, and I've learned how to handle those pretty early on. And others are hurting inside, and they can't help but have it spill out on everyone, and they have a lot of shame and guilt. And the way they deal with that is by accusing you. It's kind of like jerk off with your right hand and point with your left. That happens a lot, but once you learn to see what it is truly, once you get past the hurt that they're trying to lob at you and understand what is going on with them, it kind of really changes your perspective on a lot of things in life that similar thing happens in.
Would you say you have any particular niches or categories that you cater to?
I would say that, yeah. In fact, that kind of goes back to the earlier question. That's another thing I learned, is that it's all about niche. That's really where you find, at least I do, the most success, instead of being like everyone else, which I never was really good at anyway. Really, the most job satisfaction and customer satisfaction, as well as the flow of customers comes from being a niche performer. And other than sort of being genuinely into sex, aka succubus, um, and also always having genuine orgasms. If you don't hear the earth rumble, and like my orgasms register on the Richter scale, like you can visually see that I'm orgasming. I'm not talking about squirting because that's been debunked long ago as not actual orgasms. But if you don't hear me scream and see me come, then I didn't. I'm not going to fake it. I never have, never will. It's one of the reasons why I'm an independent porn performer. I do not work with mainstream companies for the most part because they do not really provide an environment that allows for female orgasms, genuine female orgasms. And I did learn how to have a genuine female orgasm. And in fact, me and my partner, we have training for cam girls. I do cam coaching, and he does orgasm training. So it is a thing that you can do. And surprisingly, a lot of girls don't really know how to orgasm, and it's not their fault really. A lot of it has to do with actually your mental state. I can get into neuroscience of this, but I won't too much. The female brain needs to be physically, literally calm and experiencing alpha brain waves in order to be able to achieve orgasm. So there's things required for the female orgasm that are not necessarily required for male. And so from there, other than genuinely enjoying sex and having real orgasms as kind of a niche, that's just really who I am. But the niches that I do is cosplay. I worked with a erotic cosplay company, which is not of the best character, as it turns out. But I did a lot of work with them that sort of opened up my love of not just cosplay, but specifically undressing, the art of dress up. So erotic cosplay, and that led naturally into cos porn. And I do that, and that's a lot of fun. And then another sort of niche, I guess, that I end up doing through no fault of my own is foot fetish. I apparently have what is called perfect feet. If you look at my StreamAid tags and things like that, people seem to really like them, which to me is bizarre because I grew up having issues with my feet due to some family bullying of a type. So it's really strange to me to have it become something so big that people seek out. And I end up doing a lot of not really even food jobs or anything like that, but just showing my arches and things like that. So that's been really fun and kind of created a niche of its own. But yeah, for the most part, I would say my boy-girl shows and the desire with which I take that cock. And being a succubus in general and being a cosplayer has been kind of the main niches, so to speak. And I think the fact that I am a gamer and a nerd, and I can just bust into conversation about something that interests me and that I can find in common with the viewer, that has certainly been a bonus as well. I wouldn't necessarily call it my niche, but I do think that's something that brings people back because they can have a conversation while also admiring me physically. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Would you say that the work you do factors into your everyday life and relationships with friends and family?
Only in the sense that my relationship is my co-star. We are really sort of desired as a boy-girl couples show when we do those on StreamAid. And of course, people really like our videos, so that's kind of the main driving force behind video purchases and website subscriptions is our work together. And yes, we've been together for 10 years, and it still feels like we're on our honeymoon, and absolutely soulmates. But we somehow also end up having like hot porn star sex because that's what we both do. I mean, I am gender monogamous currently, but we both are and do and have worked with other girls together or separately. So it's just one of those things that we're able to maintain our relationship really well, and it is kind of our bread and butter as well in the sexual sense. But other than that, I don't know if it factors that much into my friends and family. My family does know what I do, at least my mother does. I'm not sure if she kept it a secret or if she told the rest of my family. But yeah, my friends, a lot of my friends end up being industry girls that we've worked with, or girls that we pick up at a club or something that are interested in, if not full on being a camp performer or a porn star, but at least trying it out for a little while. So we've definitely brought new girls into the world of camming in that sense, because it's just part of our, part of our life is to enjoy other girls and kind of do it together. And we've done it on camera and off, and it just kind of works as a career option as well. And yeah, I would say that a lot of my friends are industry girls, and I find them to be very not like what people would assume porn stars are, at least maybe because they're more alternative, or some of them are also cam girls. But I've actually found that even your typical peroxide blonde, with fake boobs and a big ass, even they in the porn industry end up being quite frequently a nerd and a bit more of an awkward person, like, I would consider myself to be in my non porn star persona, like my real life. A little socially awkward, and we've kind of learned to get over it, and but we still are nerds at heart. And I've encountered too many to count porn actors and sex workers who are actually not the popular kids. Despite what we may look like and act like, we're actually all just a bunch of nerds, and it's quite interesting to have discovered that. And that's why I'm friends with a lot of them. We just get along better. I've never really been one of the girls and part of a girl group or anything, but somehow with porn actors, we're able to kind of forge our own individualistic but still together kind of group.
And would you say being in this line of work has changed you at all?
Um, hmm. I don't know if it has or not, but then again, I always strive to change and to grow. I mean, as the saying goes, if you're green, you're growing. If you're ripe, you're rotten. So I always try to be green and understand that making mistakes is okay. But mainly, I think it sort of gave me the push to fully become independent of other people's opinions of me, and to just kind of rip off the band-aid of social stigma, etc., and just like tell my parents what I do and just have absolutely no secrets, because I wanted to be famous. I still do. I want to be an internationally recognized porn star. I want to have a porn empire. I have a lot of goals on that front, and in order to have full freedom to go forward and to sort of go after your goals, you have to be free. And what you have to do is allow the people who love you the opportunity to lead you, by telling them and showing them who you truly are. Because people can't love you if they don't know you. And if you're hiding, if you're keeping secrets from your family, etc., the love that you feel from them may not be truly for you. It may be for this image of you that you've given them. And I would say that that was one of the biggest sort of understandings that I came to, which is you have to leave fears behind truly. You can't just, in the privacy of your mind, know that, well, people judging me is wrong, and I know they're wrong, but I still won't, reveal to my family who I am and what I do. You feel like you're free because you know that it's wrong, but it's still holding you back in some way that you're not quite aware of. And once you let go of that, you truly can feel kind of a wind underneath you that helps you actually go after your dreams. So you really won't achieve what you want if you don't fully let go and go after your dreams and not worry about what people will think about you. And that's just something that I guess helped me, the camming thing kind of helped me understand that.
It's to my understanding that you have some published works in a few different places. Could you tell us more about those?
Sure. Well, other than just a few interviews here and there, I have written for slutty-girl-problems.com. There's a few articles there. And as far as physical books, aside from a little short story, fictional short story I did in college that ended up being published in one of the books there, my main thing really right now, other than medium.com, my main sort of source of being published is Coming Out Like a Porn Star. That is the title of the book. It is an anthology that's edited by Jiz Lee, and it has a lot of the stories from people like, myself, Stoya, Amy Sprinkle, Connor Habib, a few others that kind of give our experience with coming out to family and friends and telling them, that we do porn and the stigmas that are associated with that and the ways in which we handle privacy and coming out to people and the stigma and the shame that is associated with being a sex worker. There's a lot of personal anecdotes. There's words of encouragement. There's a variety of in that anthology, and it's been about a year since it came out, and it's in its second printing, so it's quite a powerful book, and I feel extremely honored and thankful to Jiz for being published in it, and it's quite special to me.
So it's to my understanding down there in California, there's a pretty scary proposition going around that a lot of people have been very vocal about. Would you like to speak about that at all?
Yeah, I think you're referring to Prop 60, which is something that the entire adult industry in California has been extremely vocal against. We have a hashtag, no Prop 60. And we have even avatars and rallies and a variety of ways in which we're trying to get the word out. So if you are a Californian and if you did register to vote, which the deadline was the 24th, please come out on November 8th and vote no on Prop 60. And I will explain to you guys a little bit more about the prop and the condom law that it's trying to pass, and also the reasons why we have condom-only performers such as Jiz Lee who oppose this prop. So basically, it starts off with a warning sign that yes, on Prop 60, the company or the group that has been trying to pass it, they have always spoken for adult performers, but they've never spoken with us. We have requested multiple times to have a sit-down conference with Weinstein, who is the spearhead sort of this movement, of this law, of this prop. And multiple times they've refused to talk to performers and to have a conference and to actually find out what our opinion is. And instead they parade around, one poor, unfortunate performer who provably got HIV offset. And it really breaks my heart that she is being dragged around all these things and shown as almost a circus monkey of like, look, this performer got HIV on set, therefore porn bad, even though there's been not a single transmission of specifically HIV and AIDS in the past 10 years in the porn industry. We have extensive testing every 14 days. You are required to get a blood test every 14 days, and it tests not just for STIs that are commonly known and in common ways that is being tested for, but they even go through RNA testing and mRNA testing and a variety of other really sophisticated methods of testing every 2 weeks. The condom law is going to require performers wearing condoms in all scenes, and what it will do will release some of those stringent requirements on other types of blood testing. So in fact, it'll actually make workers in the porn industry less safe. The other frustrating thing about this prop is that Weinstein is backed by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and he is sort of representative of a very AIDS susceptible area in Los Angeles, and somehow it's the fault of porn, even though we have I can't even give you astronomical odds or numbers, difference in which how many porn performers, current or past, or all of them combined, have had HIV versus civilians, as we call people who are not in the porn industry. Civilians have a tremendous amount more STIs and AIDS, HIV type infections than porn performers do because of our stringent requirements on testing. Now, what the AIDS Healthcare Foundation has been really taken for a ride by Weinstein. They have given him at least $4 million at this point. So it's $4 million that has been diverted from AIDS research and AIDS care to passing this law that nobody wants. Nobody who actually works in the industry wants this law, and yet it is being said that it is for our protection. Now, every performer, condoms only performers, say no to Prop 60. Why? Why would we do that? Well, not only does it endanger performers that are directly in the porn industry, it can endanger absolutely anyone who even sends a naked picture of themselves to someone else in California. Now, let me explain what that means. The biggest sort of issue with Prop 60 is the attachment of the condom law enforcement by Cal OSHA. So this law will provide ordinary citizens the power of detective, the power of something that they shouldn't have. It is basically the equivalent of suing a waitress because you don't like her shoes. You can't do that. But in the porn industry, if this law passes, any single individual in California who watches any porn or any kind of cam girl or anything, and if they do not see a condom, even if there is one there, but they don't think they see it, they can file a complaint with Cal OSHA, which will release the performer's legal name and their address. And even if Cal OSHA doesn't really follow up on this investigation, or if they notice that there's no reason to call these people in, they didn't do anything wrong, the person who called them in will still have private information of these performers, which is very terrifying to a lot of us who have had problems with stalkers and who maybe didn't. Like, I've never had a problem with a stalker, but I still value my privacy. I still don't want my address out there. On the other hand, Weinstein will give himself a power of district attorney for life. So he is creating a government position for himself as part of this law. It's all wrapped up in it. So on the surface, it says, oh, it's a condom law. But underneath, there's so many more things. The biggest one, other than finding out performers' names and addresses and actually being rewarded $25,000 for doing this, so it incentivizes individuals to go after porn actors. On top of that, it will make anyone who profits from pornography liable. Therefore, this includes basically anyone who shares any kind of naked photo of themselves and in some ways is considered to profit from it. This actually goes to hotel rooms too, or like hotel chains as well, because they sell porn pay-per-view. And the curious thing about all that is I forget his first name, Weinstein actually has a past of trying to take down porn in hotel rooms, in like hotels. So there is some sort of personal vendetta between him and hotels and between him and porn. And it has absolutely nothing to do with performer rights or performer safety, as he is saying it does. And we basically are facing something that will drive all the porn jobs out of California and perhaps have a trickle down effect on the entire porn industry. And at this point, what porn companies are doing to try to express to the average viewer how devastating this is, they're actually geo-blocking the entire state of California as a preventative measure and a sort of a teaching moment to show people this is what the internet will look like to you if you do not vote no, because it is open to general election. That's why it's very damaging in that sense, because when we were in Cal OSHA hearings and in the state capitol talking to senators about this, senators understood that this is bullshit. They knew that it's a lie because Weinstein has slipped up many times. He has come out against Prep E, which is a AIDS helping thing. So he would rather have no condoms in porn than support something that actually helps people with HIV. So his bias is very clear to senators of California. But this is a general election thing. It is something that every single citizen will vote on. And it's very dangerous to have that for an informed public when you title it as condoms and porn to make performers safe, and nowhere in there does it say that performers object to this. It does thankfully say that it will be about $1.5 million a year of costs to the state to upkeep this law, because it makes certain requirements on porn producers. It makes porn producers liable for testing and for a variety of other services to provide to their performers. And what Weinstein and his camp say that, well, this won't affect the performers. The performers actually hate their producers and they're just afraid to speak out. And they actually want this law, and they're just all being, told by their companies and their producers to say no on this, but they truly want it, which is so much wrong with that. And what he misses, because he's never talked to us as performers, what he misses is that about 70% of porn performers are also their own porn producers. Almost every, even mainstream porn stars, they have their own website, they have a clips for sale, they have Night Flirt, they have Snapchat, they do something where they benefit monetarily from their naked bodies. Now, anybody who benefits monetarily from naked bodies will be liable under this law and can be sued by somebody who will get money from it, even if Kalosha doesn't pursue it, somebody who will get all of our personal information. And it's just an incredible mess. No performers want it, and we all very strongly urge people to vote no on Prop 60 if you care about us as human beings, if you care about the job that we have chosen for ourselves, if you believe that we have, free will and freedom of choice, and if you want us to pursue happiness and the American dream, vote no on Prop 60. It's just simple as that.
Do you have any important advice for someone looking to get into this kind of work?
Yeah, I think I have something that I've learned throughout the years that actually I see some girls succumbing to this problem because of the way certain websites, certain sort of free cam mentality sites end up kind of ruining potential careers because of this bit of advice that I'm about to give that girls don't really know, which is have patience. It is not you. A lot of times when there's quietness and there's no people in your room or people are there, but they're not giving you money or are not talking to you, they basically makes you feel undesirable. It makes you feel like you're doing something wrong. It makes you feel like you're a failure. And some websites, in order to force the girls to compete, and it's kind of almost a slave driver in that sense. And I've seen it ruin a lot of girls' careers who were perfectly fine, but they were just not getting any jobs on these free to play kind of mentality sites. And so what I would say is, as long as you are performing to the best of your ability, as long as you are being entertaining, energetic, sexual, that's really all that viewers are looking from you. They want you to be your best version of yourself. They want you. So basically, when I say be yourself, I don't mean like tell them about your period cramps and the roof shingles that are falling down and annoying you. Like, don't give them the negative things that you would to like a relationship boyfriend or something. Give them the best version of yourself and be energetic. Consider your work as a sexual performance, like burlesque or like stand-up comedy. Every night is an event. Every night you're on cam is a special occasion. Rise to it and be the best version of yourself. And on top of that, also know that if you have quiet hours or no customers, it is not you. As long as you're doing those three things, you have to be aware of that. People have, depressive episodes. People have no money certain times of the month. So it depends on the time of the month, the time of day, the time of year. Believe it or not, daylight savings time actually affects which hours are best. Also be aware that sometimes you can be exposed to European viewers who are on at different times than American viewers. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. Something like Monday Night Football or, little things like that will cause a drop in your earnings or what you see as your value, attention given to you, etc. So you just have to be aware that it is not you. As long as you are performing and being energetic and sexual and positive and being you, then if things aren't working out, just have patience, just wait it out. This too shall pass is one of the things that I really like to remind myself. And have patience, don't freak out, but also find the right website because some girls really thrive in the free-to-play kind of mentality sites, and then others work a lot better on sites that maybe give you a little less payout, but that have a requirement of people taking you private in order to see anything. So just kind of play around with it and definitely ask around in terms of what other models have experienced. But ultimately forge your own path and just remember that if things are going slow, you can change things up, and it's good to always reinvent yourself. But if you are doing everything sort of right, in the sense of being entertaining and energetic and sexual and positive, then just remember it's not you. Just have patience, weather out the storm, and if it really is not working out, move on to another site. That's a very important thing.
Do you have any sort of closing thoughts or anything like that?
Well, if you are interested in camming and would like to know a little more, or even go through cam training and take a test or something like that, which I am developing to figure out if you are best suited for a campsite, and if so, which one, or if you're more suited for porn work, then definitely feel free to contact me. My email is on my Twitter bio. It is also in the About Me section on my website, which is annacherry.com. And there's a lot of cam coaching and things like that we provide. And I'm also looking to launch a modeling collective and kind of a porn agency, by models for models. That's Top Shelf Models. And if you would like to get a new platform to basically showcase yourself and to have promotion and to work with a collective of passionate and independent models, then definitely reach out to me for that as well. And I don't know, just join my Patreon, guys, and join my website and see all the fun things that I get up to.